Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be repotting these little tolumnias. But repotting is a little bit of a misnomer because I'm not actually going to take them out of these little net pots, because if you look at this, they have these wild growing roots just growing through every single gap and around the pot, and I don't want to damage these, especially since I'm very inexperienced with tolumnias. These are my first 3 tolumnias ever. So I'm thinking of just putting these inside a bigger pot, and I can do that quite easily because, don't know how well you can see it, but there's no medium inside of these little baskets. It's literally just the plant and its roots. So there's nothing that can rot or go bad, which is why I'm thinking of just leaving it as it is, not disturbing the roots at all, and just putting it in a bigger pot, which does have some media, because I cannot grow them bare rooted in my environment. It is far too dry. I keep spraying these, and whenever I manage to saturate them and make them properly green, they turn completely crispy, dry and white in half an hour, which I cannot keep up with. It's impossible for me. So I'm going to put these in the usual self-watering LECA. I've chosen LECA because clearly these orchids like a lot of air. You can tell it from the way they've been potted here with no medium. And I've also read that online a lot. But I also read that they, although they like to apparently dry out fast, they are not necessarily drought tolerant. And I have already seen in the past that orchids like to dry out fast, like cattleyas, do perfectly well in self-watering LECA, even though, contradictingly, they don't actually dry out. So I'm going to try some of these tolumnias. LECA is very good because it's airy. About 40% of the space inside the pot is air because of the sphere packing. You know, if they were perfect spheres. In reality, it's fluctuating around a little bit, but still, lots of air. And it still gives them constant access to moisture, also when I'm traveling, which I do with some frequently, except not now, of course, but usually. So I have these clear pots. As you can see, they're substantially larger than the ones I have now, but I don't have anything smaller, and I can't get anything smaller at the moment either. So this will have to do. Thankfully, with inorganic material such as LECA, it doesn't matter all that much because the moisture is distributed evenly throughout the pot anyway, and there's nothing that can rot. For the wick, I will be using a strand of synthic, which I will be cutting to make it less long because I don't want the whole thing to fill up with synthic. So I'm going to start by putting the synthic through the pot. There we go, we have our synthic wick, and it doesn't go too far into the pot, so we have plenty of space for the LECA. Before we put the plant in, we want a small bottom layer of LECA, preferably. Here we go, don't put it in too deep. Don't put the bottom layer too deep, because otherwise you might have difficulty putting the tolumnia in. And this is the smallest of the pots that I have, so I'm going to be taking the smallest tolumnia, which I'm not sure which one that is actually. Oh, by the way, I haven't told you which ones they are yet. This here is Tolumnia brown corona. This is Tolumnia snowcarmine, and this here is Tolumnia magic. And let's see. Oh, oops. This one looks larger than this one. It's a bit close. It's a tie. I'm just gonna go with this one. Always be careful with LECA balls. If they end up on the floor and you walk around barefooted, which I tend to quite a lot, it hurts when you stand on them, like a lot. Okay, I think I might want to put a little bit more on the top, just to kind of hide that inner pot. Don't necessarily want to see that the whole time. Although I don't know if, I feel like I'm kind of burying the fans. I think maybe not. Maybe I'll not do that. Ooh, now I'm wondering whether maybe I should take them out the pots anyway, because they're getting buried otherwise. Hold on. Okay, this makes things a little bit chaotic, I know, but I just tried to take one out of the net pot, and actually it went quite well despite how it looks. So I think I'll be redoing those, taking them out of the net pot and putting them in by themselves, just because the base of the growths were all the way at the very bottom of the net pots, and I'm worried that I won't be able to pot them properly and that their future growth will be restricted by the net pots. So that's why I think this is better. And yeah, I'll be redoing the other two, unfortunately. So in preparation for their repotting and detaching them from their pots, and this one's here just because it may as well be, I have put them to soak in a little bath, and they've been like this for I think about 10 minutes now or so, maybe a little bit less, but I already got one of them out quite easily without soaking it, so I think this will be sufficient. Now I need to carefully replace them. Okay, doesn't look like they're fully saturated yet, but I think it will be okay. We go back to the Tolumnia snowcarmine, and we try to carefully detach it. I think this one will definitely be more difficult than Tolumnia Magic, which I detached off camera to test, because it seems to have more clinging to the side of the pot, but as you can see, they're not actually clinging that strongly. They're more kind of hanging there. These look like they will be more difficult for sure. Ooh, this one's going to have to break, I think. Carefully detach things as much as possible. Okay, now let's see what happens if we gently pull on it. Where can I hold it? Here. Still very much stuck somewhere. There we go. Maybe no. There we go. That was it. And carefully try to snap and bruise as little as possible. Only one snapped root. Oh, two snapped roots. That could have been a lot worse. And it all looks good. So that's the snowcarmine out of his little basket pot. And then we move on to the Tolumnia brown corona. Okay, this one looks like it should be quite easy again. Easier than the snowcarmine anyway. Start by checking out how... Okay, yeah, they get removed quite easily. It looks like Tolumnia roots don't attach themselves quite as tightly as, for instance, Phalaenopsis roots can do. Let's see. There we go. Very good. Okay, and we have 3 snap roots this time. But from the amount it has, I think that'll be quite alright. So let's continue with the Tolumnia Magic, which I already put a bottom layer of LECA for. The net pot, the way it was potted in the net pot, kind of forced the roots to grow around and upwards, which is not what we want when we want to put them into a normal pot. So I'm going to see, now that they've soaked up some water, if I can gently bend them downwards and force them down into the pot, instead of being up along with the leaves, because the moisture is going to be down, obviously. And hopefully when I start pouring some LECA in, it will also help to pin them down. Okay, and I'm quite happy with how this little clump of grass looks. Not potted too deeply in there. And the roots have gone down into the pot quite decently, so it will be able to take up moisture. And hopefully it will adjust quite well. I should put a little tag in there with it. A little Tolumnia Magic. There we go. Then next up we will go with Tolumnia Brown Corona. Just gonna have a quick look at what it looks like here. I think this is supposed to be sorry. I think this is supposed to be a new fan coming through here. I don't know, I know nothing. No, I think this is the new fan. So maybe this is like a little seedling fan. But this is definitely a new growth, right? You can see that very typical new growth structure going on here. And it's making a new leaf in the center right there. And this is definitely an older fan, right? You can clearly see. Maybe this is part of the new... No, oh, that's part of the older fan. It's just bent weirdly. Okay, so this is one old fan that you can see kind of behind it, and then one new fan in the front. Okay, so 2 fans. Let's start by putting that bottom layer of LECA in. And then, as before, we try and apply the roots in a downwards direction. Maybe we can even unfurl them a little bit. Make them spread out throughout the pot. There we go. And then we carefully put it in. And kind of pull it up a little bit to get a higher point of the pot, because otherwise it's pot a little bit too deep. There we go. And there's a few stray pebbles in there. Excellent, I am happy with that. So there we have our 2 fans of the Tolumnia brown corona, all potted up. And last but certainly not least, we have the Tolumnia snowcarmine. Let's inspect it a little first. I can see a new fan growing over here. Again, you have the typical new growth look. So even if I don't know Tolumnia as well, this is clearly a new growth. This here seems to be an older fan from which it sprouts, although it's less elaborate than the old fan on the brown corona. How many fans are there? There's one more over here, which seems to be a bit bigger. And then some smaller, I guess, seedling ones over here. So this one has several fans, although they all seem to be smaller than the one that the Tolumnia brown corona has. So again, we'll try and apply it downwards. This is why we soak them, so that the roots become more flexible and pliable. I also try and loosen up the root ball a little bit so that the roots will be more spread out inside the new pot. But of course, I'm not going to try and risk anything snapping, so you have to be very careful and patient. Kind of like teasing a tangle out of your hair. If you've got long hair, you'll know what that's like. There we go. And then we put that bottom layer of LECA. And then we put our little Tolumnia in. And we continue to fill. Okay. Do I like the way this is potted? Maybe it needs to be a little bit higher up again. I dislike having my orchids potted too low in the medium, because one of my very first orchids I threw away because I potted it too deep in the LECA and it got black rot in the rhizome. And I don't want that happening again. And one of the things that can help reduce that risk of that happening is just potting it a little bit higher so that the rhizome is on top of the medium rather than buried by it. So there we go. I'm quite happy with that as well. Now we'll put the name tag in. Tolumnia brown corona. Cool. So that's all 3 of them neatly potted up in their self-watering LECA systems. Hopefully they'll take to it quite well. If not, I have no idea what to do, so then I'll probably make a panicked video asking you all for help, but hopefully it will all go well. And yeah, I'm happy with the quality of them. They all seem to have some new growth going on. They all have a very good root system from what I can tell. And I'm sure they'll adjust quite well, actually. If any of you have any tips for me regarding the care of these orchids, or specifically what kind of things to look out for and how to recognize new flower spikes and where to look for those new flower spikes, I'd be very happy to hear more and to hear your advice about that. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. Leave your comments down below, and any feedback that you have, I'm also very happy to take on board. And if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future, you can always subscribe to the channel, for which the button can also be found below around here. So thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.